I agree. It's a special place. So let's talk about how special it is. Talking about distrusting governance, let's talk about our state funding.
Yeah.
So this past year, the board courageously adopted a small tuition increase, which then allowed them, through our work with Keith and the rest of the senior team, to adopt a budget that is aimed at trying to do things like the new student experience, a raise for the employees. But our governance system, for as long as I've been here, I've heard that we don't get funded well relative to the state funding, and there's some desires to make some changes there. So I know you are obviously, as one of the college presidents within the system, deeply involved there. So is there anything you can tell us about that? Anything you can share about your hopes or challenges or things you're trying to employ so that we don't find ourselves in this consistent place where we could do more excellent work in protecting the beautiful thing we have here, but the state doesn't seem to want to fund us?
Well, we're coming out of a recession, and I understand that the state's revenues were severely constrained. They were, the budget is not quite back in terms of total revenues to where it was in 2007. And I understood, and most people would understand, that as the revenues come back, education's a priority, but it may not be the highest priority. It may be that children without health care coverage is a little ahead of us, or overcrowded prisons a little ahead of us. So I didn't expect money to come rushing back into our coffers as soon as someone declared the recession was over. It's a slow recovery, but we're recovering, and state budgets are improving. I was disappointed this year because I thought the state had the capacity to fund a budget increase of $60 to $70 million to our system, and we ended up with just over $30 million. All three houses, meaning the House, the Senate, and the governor's office, initial proposals for our budgets were higher than that.
Wow.
And it was a tough session, and I wasn't a leader in it. I was a player, but I have no formal leadership role for that. And I think the system as a whole did not do very well. And part of that is that we got sidetracked into a set of issues raised in the Senate about our mission, the offering of bachelor's degrees, and a real argument between what I would call an elite view of higher education and a populist view of higher education. And some key Senate leaders, I think, took the former position and said, you guys hang on, we need 1 or 2 or 3 flagship universities, and we're going to spend a lot of money to get there. So they were pushing to invest in that direction. Nevertheless, what the state did is what the state did. The board did show great courage. Remember, they are all appointed by the governor. The governor had lectured all of them on the importance of keeping tuition as low as possible, and they were able to pass a small tuition increase. I think the year of annual tuition increases, the age of that is probably past, and we're going to see real care in the board with regard to when and how much we raise tuition. We remain very affordable. We are something like just under $2,500 a year for a truly full-time student, 15 hours a semester for 2 semesters. That's all good. We're a bargain, but the board's very sensitive to it, and I appreciate that sensitivity. So we were able to really push hard, and there was a combination of things, Carl. First, the college did yet another great job of stewardship, so we had resources that we could free up to help. We had the tuition dollars that the board made available to us, and our enrollment and our tuition revenue did not go down as much in this past year as we thought it would, and that's also good work by the staff and faculty. I think we're about to turn the corner, and shortly we'll see enrollment increases. I hope they're modest. 10% increases a year is hard to service. 3% I could live with.
Yes.
And that gives you some marginal resources to work with. I'm hopeful for next year. I am very involved for the coming 2 years because the incoming president of the Senate is a local senator, and the incoming Speaker of the House is a local House member. Okay. Both are friends, both are colleagues, both understand and know Valencia well, and both have invited my input into their planning. And as a result of that, the system has asked me to help lead the system's effort. And I would love for both the system and Valencia to do well together.
Sure.
And that's what I'm working on.
Great. Is there anything that an individual who works here, who again believes in our mission, loves the school, that we could do on our own time, right, from our own computers, on our own paper, right, at home? Is there somebody we could write? Is there somebody we could call as our local representatives? Is there something that you would say we should not do to just want to say, hey, fix the funding? Or I mean, I don't know the correct way to say it, but, you know, to be involved in the system involves participating.
Yes, there's always more you can do. Some of you know legislators because they're your neighbors, or your kids go to karate together, or whatever the issue might be. Keep them informed that, you know, Valencia is operating as the most efficient college in Florida, both from cost, the total student cost and the total state cost, the cost per degree, the square foot per degree, the square foot per FTE, the cost per FTE. Any measure you want to put on us, we're the most efficient college in Florida. Particularly when you include performance in your measurement of efficiency, and that's a useful thing for them to know. I think engagement for them is really important. One of the reasons that Valencia and some of the other metropolitan institutions have been overlooked is that we're one of maybe 30 chicks in the nest.
Right.
And so when a legislature is thinking about their priorities, they have to spread it thinly across many priorities in the metropolitan areas. If you're in some little rural hamlet and you're a college in the Panhandle, you're the college, and you're about the only place they can bring bacon home to. So they tend to get a lot more attention from the legislators they have when they're in power. And that's led to some real inequities, imbalances in the resources over the years. But I'm feeling good about the next two, and we'll make all the hay we can while the sun's shining. Sure. And if you will engage legislators, so find a way to get them to guest lecture. Find a way for people who have voice in the community leaders, to have voice on campus. Get them to guest lecture, get them to visit, take your classes to visit them, find ways to engage. They need to know us better, and there's nothing like being on campus. It always amazes me when I bring an elected leader on any of our campuses that the scales kind of fall off and they realize this isn't what I thought it was.
Right. Well, the more we can do to be involved in our own community would certainly seem to build advocates within the community as they vote and think and communicate themselves. So, yeah, good.